You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a very special guest, Bob Perkins, who's the founder and president of the Inside Sales Professional Association. Bob, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Doug. Great to be with you.
And you know, I think that many folks out there have no idea that an Inside Sales Professional Association exists, let alone what the difference is between inside sales versus field sales or outside sales reps. Can you tell us a little bit about the background of the AA-ISP and kind of the value that it provides for your members?
Sure. Thanks for allowing me to share this. Many years ago, going back to the early 1990s, I was very involved as a leader of inside sales, just when inside sales was starting to find its own, if you will. And even back 20 years ago, I felt like we needed a voice. We needed a community because we sort of felt like we were the second, the redheaded stepchild, so to speak, riding in the back seat of the bus. And all these high-paid field reps were out there. We needed training. We needed resources to help us develop this blossoming profession. And so probably about 8 to 10 years ago, I knew we needed an association, so I created a framework in my mind. And fortunately, the right time in my career, I was able to start it. I almost did it as a hobby, if you will, because I wanted to see our profession come together to achieve greater things as a collective community. And it started very small and modest, and now it's, my goodness, we got chapters around the world, almost every country. New Zealand's going to open up. Romania just called us the other day wanting to start a chapter. And what it is, it's people that have been in inside sales for so many years. They say they've kind of found this community, and it feels so good to them that they can come together, they can share, they can network with like-minded people. So as I know you know, because you've been to our events, we put on content-rich events, a lot of training, a lot of sharing, a lot of best practice. We do research, and we have a series of accreditations. So it's been fantastic to see that what started as a thought and an idea has really galvanized and brought together thousands of professionals for the betterment, for the cause of moving inside sales forward.
Yeah, and what would you say to be the characteristics or the attributes of the consummate inside sales professional, maybe as it compares to a field rep?
Well, back in the day, it was kind of different, right? One was, well, you got to be pretty good. You got to be a pretty good communicator on the phone, and if you could talk on the phone, we'd hire you as an inside sales rep. And then, of course, the field reps, they had to be really good at negotiating and relationship building and closing and overcoming objections. Well, what's happened? It's really been accelerated since so many relationships and so much commerce is being transacted virtually that now the inside rep has to have all of those same skills as the field rep. They have to be able to do pre-call research. They have to know social media very well. They have to negotiate. They have to do what we're doing, propose solutions virtually, sometimes via webcam like this. Of course, screen share is very common. So there's not that much of a difference today. That line is being blurred. However, I truly believe there's always going to be a need for face-to-face. I mean, that's hard to replace. So in many industries and areas, we still need that, that face-to-face, that one-to-one in-person communication, really to augment all this virtual and digital selling that's happening today.
Yeah, one of the things that I really liked about the convention you had was it was rich in content. And I know that a lot of those skill sets that you would teach to inside sales professionals can also apply to outside sales. It's just maybe the balance of how the time is spent is a little bit different. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, no, that's a great point you bring up. And I talk about this at conferences. I say, if you think about modern day prospecting, for example, right? The use of LinkedIn, marketing departments through content marketing and drip marketing, they provide leads to inside salespeople. But that whole process of trying to get a direct phone line, trying to get through the gatekeeper, try to find someone who has interest. That modern day prospecting was really invented on the job by inside salespeople that had to do it virtually. In fact, even 10 years ago, you didn't have a salesperson carrying around a briefcase knocking on doors. It didn't happen. 20, 30 years ago you did, but today prospecting happens through really a virtual digital kind of mode. So those are some of the key skills that now field salespeople, that they got to do their own prospecting. They can't go knocking on doors. So they're adopting many of the things that inside sales has really been doing for a number of years. In fact, I'll give you a good story. Back when I was vice president of sales at Merrill, we actually flew in the field salespeople into our inside sales organization, and we put on what's called a call camp. So we taught the field salespeople all the things that we've been doing for years: the use of LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn, right? How to handle objections over the phone, how to send a good email, how to leave a good voicemail, right? So I think you're seeing the two of these things coming together a little bit.
Yeah, and going a little bit deeper as far as the different roles, we're even starting to see the sales process itself be a little bit more specialized for specific individuals. So rather, the philosophy of being all things to all people, you can't anymore. So what are some of the models maybe you're seeing that are out there that sales professionals are maybe gravitating to one sort of specialized area maybe over another?
You bring up a great point. Not only are roles being specialized, Doug, but we're seeing brand new jobs being created. So, for example, I know a company that they created a new role, which was really working with data after it comes out from marketing to append the data and do research around the data, so then they feed it to inside sales. So it's cleaner and it has direct phone lines and things like that. So new jobs completely are being created. Additional jobs around sales operations are being created because of inside sales. But back to your original question, the roles. Well, clearly business development, that role of the top of the funnel, right? Finding and engaging with and moving prospects into an appointment, setting appointments for inside or the field. That role is just exploding. Of course, you have your farmers and hunters, right? That role around the sales executive that goes out and finds and kills the prey and then moves it to an account management. We're seeing those roles. So it's an exciting time for inside sales. Another role, the hybrid, right? So as the hybrid role really is a full sales rep role, but they primarily spend most of their time on the phone via a screen share or video like this, and then they travel as needed. And so the benefits are they're selling the way customers want to buy, modern day selling, but they have the ability to get the best of the best with a handshake and a face-to-face meeting, but they're not just spending loads of time and money on the road, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what would you say let's say for the sales managers that are out there, the sales leaders that are trying to adapt to a newer model? What do you see some of the biggest resistance in making that change?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think we have some examples. Actually, some of our members, a guy comes to mind named Dave Schwalik. Dave Schwalik was a field sales director for 15 plus years. And then they had a need to build up an inside sales organization. They chose him. Now he made the transition very well. But I do think sometimes when I've seen primarily field-based leaders that have a dispersed selling force, they kind of have to get used to now this Oftentimes, the inside sales in one location, cube to cube to cube, right? Call campaigns happening, right? A whole nother set of metrics. You know, what's interesting around the topic of, you know, leaders measuring performance. If you think about all the metrics that inside sales reps are measured by, and then the leaders that have to digest that report and measure it, typically field sales doesn't have 10% of those metrics, right? They might have a funnel, right? Are you at your quota, and have you made some face-to-face calls? So making that transition sometimes from go make your number and you know, let's make some calls together to a finite sales process with KPIs along the way. Sometimes that's a tough transition.
Yeah, and what would you like is looking at some of those KPIs or looking at some of those metrics? You know, you can get down to cost savings, you can get down to increased revenue, you can get to the increased the number of meetings maybe you would have with the customer. What would you find to be some of the more of the hierarchy metrics that probably have a bigger priority over some of the other ones where you get lost in the technology?
Yeah, well, metrics is a great topic. When we do panels on metrics, a lot of people come ask a lot of questions. There's some controversy even today around what we should measure. One of the trends I will tell you about as far as metrics is back in the day, it was like all about the calls and all about the talk time. We may still measure that today in organizations, but it's becoming less and less important. As inside sales takes on more responsibility, and by the way, when I say more responsibility, I mean quota responsibility. In our latest research, we're seeing where inside sales is carrying their own, what we call discrete quota now, separate from the field. As that happens, there's more focus on the meaningful metrics around opportunities making it into the pipeline moving, closed deals, win-back deals, renewals for customers, things like that. More of what you would think a field rep is measured on. However, we're also seeing some other metrics around, you know, the adoption and use of technology. Are they adding net new names into their CRM, for example, is another metric that's becoming more and more important. So as the inside sales, as the profession evolves, as we gain more credibility, responsibility, more of a stakeholder into the whole company, some of these metrics are shifting over time, if you will.
Yeah, no, great. And even looking forward to, let's say, a couple of years from now, where we are today, and we've made so much progress as an industry, what would you say would be the trends looking forward for someone to invest in? Would it be, let's say, to invest in the people, to invest in the skills development, or let's say better technology? What would you say?
I'd say all the above, right? And I'd like to comment on a few of the things. You know, number one, I had a great opportunity to visit a state-of-the-art, brand new inside sales center in Dublin, Ireland, just a few months ago with IBM. And it, you know, I texted somebody when I walked in. I said, this is like walking into Starship Enterprise. I mean, they had huge screens where they were doing video like us. They could get right to the customer. They could do real live time proposing with a customer. Some really neat stuff. And they based this around this whole, this term digital. And they feel that today's business-to-business sophisticated buyers spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, they want to transact and interact with the selling process like they do when they go to Amazon. They want to click, they want to find it, they want to research, they want to either text somebody, pick up the phone. They don't want to spend months and months of time with face-to-face meetings, long drawn-out sales cycle. They want to consume much like they do when they're buying as a consumer. That's a huge trend I think we have to realize and keep in mind, and we have to adapt to that. So, that's one piece. Some of the other pieces, though, I think, is we are seeing over time the whole selling process really coming together and being defined by customer success. And it doesn't matter if you're shaking a hand. It doesn't matter if we're doing video like this. We know for a fact, we do know the quick virtual responsiveness, and exchange of data, exchange of information, like we're doing here, like we're doing on texting, is just growing. In fact, I'll point to our latest research that we just completed, the AA-ISP, our top challenges research. We asked the question, how many people are now routinely texting with their customers? 50% said they did.
Wow.
And you and I know 5 years ago, it wasn't happening, right? So there's some trends in that direction.
No, that's great, Bob. And I'd say it's very admirable what you've done, being able to take a group of like-minded professionals, get them together, share best practices, giving more than taking. And it's just been a treat to be able to watch and even observe that in person with the culture you've created with the Inside Sales Professional Association.
Well, I appreciate the comments. It's really been kind of a vision or dream come true for me, and the feedback we get is it's so great about now. All these professionals, these inside sales related roles, all these individuals have kind of now come together. They found a bit of a home. They feel like there's a community that supports each other. And it couldn't be better timing because, we're seeing inside sales just take on a greater role at these companies. And it's a proud moment for all of us, really. So,
well, congratulations again. Thanks again for being a part of the show today.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me on.
You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
Another reason to join early. Well,
if you're familiar with Google Plus, how to do a hangout, or even like join.me and some of the other screen sharing things I've seen.
Oh, congratulations!